And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. It's potluck time. This is the part of the show where we go around the table and share our favorite stories of the day. I wish we could share what we were just talking about in the commercials, but little thing called the FCC.
Well, we're going to.
Well, that's a very good point. Okay, Heather, this I want to, by the way, throw a disclaimer out to everybody who's watching. This does involve something that you may, I hope you finish dinner, let's put it that way, or put food aside for now.
It's not that
Pretty please,
bad.
unless you're a dog. Go ahead, Heather.
So there's a condo association in Virginia that is having a problem with dog waste, dog poo, as they say, all over the yards. And so they decided that the way to take care of this, and apparently they do this in Florida too, is to take DNA swabs of your dog's cheek and then test the poo against the DNA swab so that they can then get the correct owner. When they have the correct owner, they charge them. They're calling it poo prints. Now, two things that sort of came to mind. No, but two things that sort of came to mind are, one, how far do we go from that to taking tenants' swabs and comparing that to gum that's left around or cigarette butts that's left around? I mean, there is easily a slippery slope to be made here to say that you don't want, I don't know that I would
I'm
want
going to make a lot of money on this. I've been hired to operate it, and I'm calling the business CSI Doggy Do.
But it's called poo prints already.
Wait, you go do, you go poo. Is it do or poo, Brett?
It's
I'm gonna go with
CSI,
poo.
baby. We're going
I'm going with poo.
We're going to be crime.
Poop is
system.
good,
Yeah.
but it's in the POO range.
Right.
Not the DOO range.
This is like Jindal and Jindal.
But
go
here's
ahead.
a question. We've talked a lot at this table about the importance for
About
people
dog
and
poo?
not human,
We've
not
talked
robots.
a lot at this table
That's
about
been said
dog poo.
before, but not by
Now,
us.
now it is. Not about the show, during the
good.
show. But one of the things we've talked about is having people doing things as opposed to robots or machines. So doesn't it make more sense to use all this money that you're using to do all this DNA testing, to hire somebody to come and clean up the yards so that you're no longer having to have people get dogs tested and
Where's
instead
the
there's
fun
a
in
person-
that?
I may be crazy, but there's another alternative, which is that you can legislate anything, we can do the technology and hunt them down. What is wrong with these people in this complex? The real issue is the breakdown in the relationships between these people. Why are you letting your dog do that and not clean up? It's like everything else. We can make rules that will protect from it, but it's not going to be a substitute for the breakdown in human relations. Of course I'm not going to clean up after my dog. It's my dog, but we live here together. I'm going to clean up. And that's what they have to begin asking themselves.
I would like to propose that we take the show on the road as soon as they have this lab set up, and we do a show live right from CSI Doggy
I
Poo.
like that. Now, as somebody who lived in a condo in Hoboken, New Jersey, and had a courtyard, and actually was fined $100 when my dog did that, right? And there was no proof. It was just, we were accused.
No, you're still feeling it. My dog did that, where your dog went out by itself.
no
He didn't
proof.
know my dog did that.
There was no proof.
So how did you get fined?
Did your dog get due process?
No, he did not get
No due
See,
process.
and
No due process?
Oh, no.
You gotta be
You
kidding.
got it. It took
We got a commercial early after that, please. Here's the point. You don't even have to do DNA anymore, all right? It's very simple. Cameras.
Right.
Well, security cameras they have at that condo.
Right.
Apparently, it's a major problem. I do have to add, though, dog DNA.
Then what do you need the DNA for if you're
Because they're not catching them on the cameras. But dog DNA, that's a great use.
It's a very deliberate act. How
People
hard
are
is it?
willfully avoiding
they've
the
taught the
cameras
dog,
area
yes,
so
they
they
don't.
can
That's
get into the
right.
dark
I think
zones
that's
to let the
probably
dog go.
They've taught the dog
Yeah.
how to get off camera.
This is a human problem, I think, among the residents more than a doggy problem.
this is a TV
We
show.
got to get
More
out.
condo.
We got to get out. I
a
have a
TV show.
leash on my dog that has the built-in container that has the paper, and that's it. It's very simple. All right, so just make that mandatory.
This
Great
is a
topic. I
TV
loved it, Brad.
series.
All right, I'm serving up Ted Cruz tonight, and I think we have a couple of seconds of him talking about his feelings about Obamacare and where his family is right now.
Roll it.
Imagine in 2017, a new president signing legislation repealing every word of Obamacare.
So, every word. The irony is unbelievable, because this guy, whose wife is now leaving Goldman Sachs as he enters the presidential race and leaving the domain of their health care, is going on the exchanges created by the Obama plan, by the Affordable Care Act, to insure his family. And I want to be clear, this is not about skewering Ted Cruz. Oh, Ted Cruz is a hypocrite, because let's be clear, a version of those exchanges would have been created by any Republican legislation as well, through allowing cross-state transparency about policy shopping. So that was going to happen no matter what. But this business of every word has got to go when you're a beneficiary of some piece of it, that's the issue. We've got a baby out with the bathwater approach by candidates across the spectrum, and it's not serving anyone well.
Is he electable?
I want a camera.
Answer my question.
I need a camera for what I'm about to do.
Set him up.
I'm making a promise to our viewers. This is the only time ever that I will go easy on Ted Cruz. I promise you, it will never happen again.
Okay, do it in 20
This is nothing. The guy's entitled to have insurance for his family. People are being too hard on him. My fellow liberals are being too hard on him. Let him get his family insurance, and no, he's not even close to electable. He can't raise enough money, even at home in Texas, where he's turned his back on the establishment there. He's got no prayer.
Not the best start, because 2 days after announcing that he's running for the presidency, then that news comes out. So, bye-bye.
I'm going
Anyway, we
easy
come
on
back.
it.
It's even more potluck, including my own. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV. And welcome back to Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha, and if you're just joining us, we're in the middle of our potluck where we're sharing our favorite stories of the day, and I am in my customary 3 spot, which is usually where your best batter is in your average lineup in baseball. And I don't know quite where to go with that, except that Rick's our cleanup hitter. He's our slugger.
Started, baby. You better be ready to finish.
Yeah, good point.
Got to close.
So anyway, you may have heard that Hillary Clinton was back in the public eye, this time at a Toner event, it's called. It's basically a gathering of journalists, political journalists, in Washington, D.C. And Mrs. Clinton actually got up on stage and said some words about her relationship with the press and about new beginnings.
But I am all about new beginnings. A new grandchild, another new hairstyle, a new email account. Why not a new relationship with the press?
You hear all the woos in the background? This wasn't a DNC event. These weren't a gathering of Democrats. These were political journalists. And you're going to wonder if she's going to get a fair shake by the press in 2016.
She never has.
My good, well, at that if that's the people that are going to be covering her, and the fact that everybody clapped when she says a new email address.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
in all seriousness, this is a woman that stonewalled for 2 weeks, that could be facing subpoenas. That there's some very serious charges that are around Hillary Clinton and her personal email server, which she still has not turned over. And what we saw last night was a preview of how she's going to handle questions like this moving forward on the stump, which is everybody's acting silly. Please, I'm going to get an email address. What are you talking about? I just found it. There's a word for this in Hebrew.
There's actually 3 words for it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Sense of humor.
I was going to say, the ability
I
to
don't
laugh
know.
at yourself is an important
If
thing.
this thing were done, I'd say sense of humor.
But it's also true. We're in the middle of it, and that's
Right.
the key. I think charming is
got
great.
bad
She was
news for
actually
you.
Clintonian in her charm, but she was also Clintonian in her ability to dissemble.
It's pretty
and they're
much
both
done.
true.
It's already
Chutzpah, by the
pretty
way,
much
was the
done.
word I was looking
Oh,
for.
there you go.
Chutzpah.
Yiddish, actually.
Can
And
you
it
say
means
it with the proper...
chutzpah?
Yeah, that.
And it means a deep sense of nerve. And it does, by the way, for good and for bad, to stand up there and make fun of an issue that's still in play and could be really dangerous, I both admire and am horrified by it. So I think you're both actually right on this one.
Comparing the email to her hairdo is just, I mean, the email server there's the potential for real problems there. I know you and I disagree on this, but depending on what's in there and if they get it, there's a potential for real problems there. And people are upset about it and they're losing trust in her. So to compare that to her hairdo, I think was a little too flip.
Sense of humor, folks.
of hairdos.
You know, it's not death match. It's not the end of the world. It's politics. Sense of humor doesn't hurt. I thought it was actually funny that she did it. And I got bad news for you if you're anti-Hillary. There's a little bit of play left in the email thing, but you've pretty much seen the most of it.
You think so?
Yeah, there'll be some subpoenas, and by the way, so what? Getting a subpoena doesn't hurt you. They won't get their hands on the servers in all likelihood. We're never going to know. There's going to be complaints about the fact that we're never going to know, but we're never going to know what she destroyed, and we'll all move on. That's the way politics is.
Very good, and that's the way this segment's going to go.
So, every now and then, people who do what we all do for a living actually do something good. Now, you may recall in the past year there were all these problems at the VA. One of the largest problems being that people who needed to get in were on this long waiting list, couldn't get any help. So they passed a new rule which said that if you live 40 miles from a Veterans Administration hospital, you can go to a local private physician and we'll pick up the tab, we being the government. Sounded great. However, as Jon Stewart points out, it wasn't as good as it sounded because they defined it as 40 miles as the crow flies. Well, as the crow flies is not exactly the same as 40 miles of a drive. Well, Jon took it on. Let's show him what he did.
The Choice program requires that if you haven't waited 30 days, you must live more than 40 miles away from a VA facility as the crow flies. Because that is the least meaningful way to judge how hard it is to get somewhere for non-crows. Guess what, folks? Not 6 hours after we aired that damning piece of investigative journalism, the VA folds.
And they did fold, and they changed the rule to now it's 40-mile drive. This is going to actually make a really big difference because about half the people who qualified weren't getting the benefit of it. Now they all will. Way to go, Jon Stewart.
Yeah, it's nice that he can do it in such a way that everybody listens
Yeah.
and brings attention to a lot of things.
And they changed it.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
wonderful.
the key. He called it jokealism.
Yeah.
I think Sony coined the phrase, I still use it a lot, called edutainment.
Right.
And I actually think the blurring of these lines is not a bad thing if it's done responsibly. It's actually how people can have a good
And by
time
the way, credit-
and actually get better and get smarter. Isn't that the goal here?
Credit to the VA for getting the message. and
yeah, they
doing
responded
something
well.
about it. This is important.
That chief is really impressing me more and
He's
more.
doing better.
What's amazing is that they still haven't named somebody to replace Jon Stewart yet. It seems like no one wants the job because the shoes are so
Great
big.
shoes to fill.
You never want to be the guy after the guy, or the girl in this case.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was our potluck. Yay or nay is next. This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax TV.